The Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN began in Libreville this Tuesday, October 29th, its workshop of a 12th meeting of the multidisciplinary team of its sub-office for Central Africa, with the theme, the challenges of transforming the rural world and developing inclusive agro-industrial systems in Central Africa. At a time when Africa is vibrating at the pace of the free movement of goods, persons, and services, with the continental free trade area, several sectors of activity will have to carry the weight of Africa's development, of which agriculture. To discuss it with us, we have Mr. Jean Senahoun, Senior Economist for the Regional Office of Africa based in Accra, Ghana. Welcome, Mr. Senahoun. Let's go straight to the point. You're just coming out of a 12th meeting for this multidisciplinary team. Can you tell us what with this meeting, what this gathering is exactly about?
Yes, as you said, the multidisciplinary team meeting is a regular activity of FAO. It's a meeting which is organized in every sub-region in Africa. So this one is a meeting for our Central Africa office. It's an annual meeting which brings together FAO experts from our sub-regional office here, from the regional office for Africa located in Accra in Ghana, from our headquarters, from country offices in the region, and from headquarters, and also our partners, including government partners, our regional partners in the region. And the objective of this meeting is to review FAO work, to discuss ongoing activities, to discuss priorities, so to agree on programming. And this one is very timely because at FAO we are now busy finalizing our work planning for the next 2 years, the next biennium. So all this meeting is very timely, to provide input to the finalization of our work plan for the next two years. So in the focus of this meeting is how to transform, how to achieve transformation of the rural economy and develop a regional value chain, which is a very important topic because, as you know, leaders of the region in Central Africa, they are focusing on transforming the rural economy, transforming the economy in general, to move away from the focus on export of oil and minerals. So this meeting is really discussion detail of how to achieve this transformation of the economy in a country like Gabon.
We know that the FAO as one of its goals to reach for all countries the food security, so that every country can reach the food security. And we know that recently Africa equipped itself with another platform that is called the Continental Free Trade Area. What can you tell us about this new platform that Africa is setting into place and food security? How can the FAO reach its goals within that frame?
Yes, as you rightly said, FAO's goal is to achieve food security for all and zero hunger for all, to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal number 1 and number 2. And I'd just like to say that in Africa in general, after a long period of decline, food insecurity is unfortunately on the rise again since 2014. And now about 23% of African population are food insecure. And our analysis has shown that there are 3 main drivers of this rise in food insecurity. One is climate extreme and variability. The second one is conflict, which is happening in several countries, unfortunately, like Central African Republic here. And the third factor is economic slowdown and downturn. So So to achieve food security, it's very important to make sure that trade policy work for food security. And the development, the launch of the African Continental Free Trade Area is a very welcome development. This is the CFTA is expected to connect surplus and deficit areas in Africa, and also is expected to help meet the growing demand for food on the continent, which now our production system is not able to keep pace with the growing demand.
About this demand, as you just said, we know that you are representing the regional office for Africa, but we have sub-regions, Central Africa, Eastern, Western Africa. Can you tell us, is there any kind of progress made here in Central Africa, or are we still behind the other areas in Africa on this field?
Yes, let me start with the situation in Africa in general, as you said. Africa has made some progress as far as intra-African trade is concerned. And currently, about 25% of African export of agricultural products is destined to African markets, which is a positive development from where we were a few decades ago. But when we consider the supply and demand separately, over the last 2 decades, over the last 20 years, for example, while the supply of agriculture and food products has been growing at about 4% every year, demand is growing faster at about 6% every year, which means that over the last 2 decades, Africa is becoming a very important net importer of food products, which is a worrying development. The main driver of this trend, as we know, there's growing income in many countries, population growth, urbanization. Last year, the Gabon Minister of Agriculture was saying that in Gabon, for example, we have 80% of the population living in urban area, which is significant. And those are the main drivers of food demand in Africa. So the reliance on food import is growing, is increasing. It's a concern, but it's an opportunity. This means that there is a market within the continent. There's a important market here in Central Africa. There's a market here in Gabon that the producers they can tap into this market. And there is potential, to produce more and to trade more for various group of commodities, including cereals, including dairy products, including oils, including meat products. You know that in this region we import a lot of meat, poultry product. We import beef, while, for example, countries in the region like Chad, South African Republic are major producers of livestock products. So this product can be exported to neighboring countries, and those are the issues that the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is expected to tackle.
But what is preventing right now African countries to exchange between them? Because if you say that it's right there in Chad or Central Africa, we have some countries that produce meat. Gabonese people eat meat, but why can't they just import from them? Is there something about the political, maybe policies? Is it a problem about economics? What is the problem? Why don't we import from our neighbors?
Yes, there are several bottlenecks. Yeah? There are policy issues, as you said. Is political will important factors? Yes, yes, it is, and that's why there are several pillars of the CFTA which are expected to resolve many of these constraints. For example, countries are expected to commit themselves to reduce barrier between countries, what we call non-tariff barriers are also expected to be reduced. You know, for the so-called sanitary and phytosanitary measures, for example, when we're talking about livestock products, during the cross-border trade of such products, there can be issue, health-related issue which require some check, some verification, and all these bottlenecks to trade in some cases when they are not applied efficiently. There are other issues. So it's there are a number of issues related to information, market information, price information. But before all of that, one of the key issues is that we need first to produce more before we can trade. And our data has shown that the country which contribute more to inter-African trades are the one with a more diversified economic system. So countries which can already produce processed products, they are the one which can trade more. And those are the countries which are expected to benefit more from the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, area agreement. So that's why it's very important. Not only that we produce more, and there's a huge potential for that in Central Africa region here, but we need also to process more. And that's why it's very important to develop value chain at country level, but also at a regional level.
About this value chain, can you tell us exactly the process of this establishment? How can you build a real value chain here?
Yes, a value chain, and as I said, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is expected also to boost the development of regional value chain, because regional value chain are expected to connect countries in a specific region. And there was a process led by the African Union, for example, to identify potential value chain at a regional level. And in the Central African region here, I know, for example, that a number of them have been identified, and they have a potential for real development. For example, livestock, we were talking about livestock, meat product, cassava is a potential value chain. So cassava is produced in various regions. Rice is a value chain with a potential for real development. A regional value chain is, is a sector to which various countries contribute, but can be at a different level of the value chain.
Do you think that Central Africa can be competitive right now in this value chain and this area that just opened in Africa? Can Central Africa have a place?
The Central African region.
Yeah, Central Africa region.
Yes, as I said, there is scope for development and for increased production and for development of for movement along the value chain for a number of them. I have just mentioned a few value chain. So yes, those are value chain which play a significant role at regional level, and which can be developed further. For example, in the meeting, somebody was saying that Gabon imports, for example, meat, poultry from various countries outside Africa. But there's a lot of livestock produced in Chad, in Cameroon, in Central African Republic. These animals can be imported and transform here. So this is what we call development of regional value chain. And this is something which can be done. It just needs the necessary support to happen.
Okay, I have one last question for you. Isn't the zero hunger target in 11 years too pretentious? Do you think we can make it?
As it was also discussed in this meeting, unfortunately, the way things are going now, we are not on track, to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal number 2, which is zero hunger. But it does mean that we have
try.
Yeah.
We have to
so
try.
but still, and I also said that for 4 years, food insecurity has been increasing in Africa. But still, with the necessary political will and the action, some of the actions that we just discussed, which were discussed extensively in the multidisciplinary team meeting of FAO sub-regional office here, I think we still can achieve the Sustainable Development Goal.
Thank you, sir. I recall that you are Jean Senahoun, Senior Economist and Facilitator at the FAO.
Pleasure.
Thank you for following us today on Gabo 24. You are still available on our social networks, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time. Thank you.